We've helped hundreds of thousands of people be successful at losing their weight, and it's not as easy as the diet industry makes it. Eat less, exercise more, they say, right? And even if you're following the program, and I've laid it all out, what to eat and when, and the tweaks you need to make, it's that mental part that really just adds a whole other layer. And nobody is talking about this in the diet industry. Nobody is talking about the feelings that you have when it comes to losing weight. And I know you've done the program. I know you are so familiar with our members. What say you about this?
Well, oh my gosh, like what a harmful mess. What a harmful mess. And no doubt a big portion of why we're all here. There's so much that goes wrong. There's so much, like some moral failing that it didn't work, or it worked and then it didn't last.
Yes.
It works for other people, but not me. And so it's just like that the person, that me here, you there, are a problem, when actually it's an enormous system fail.
It is.
So then we have even further distance from our own bodies, even more distrust, even further space between us and our own cues. We think we must be outliers. It's not like nothing's going to work for me. This is just how I am, and other people are lucky or whatever. Like there's so many storylines on storylines, when actually it was just based on being fed an original lie. What happens then when we've never dealt with, when I'm very, very stressed, when the world is knocking me down, when the wind is not just not at my back, but it like kind of pummeling me, what do I do to cope? Am I turning to food? Am I participating in overnutrition? Am I overfeeding? And the greatest gift of this program is more mental space to be creative, to be entrepreneurial, to be in service, to be more present, to be more patient, and to let go of, gosh, all the shame that so many of us carry around, that we had failed somehow. Like, nope, we were fed a fraudulent system.
It's about creating space in your life to do other things and focus on other things other than your weight. It has been all-consuming, and numbers don't lie. There are more diets than ever, and obesity rates just keep climbing. So you are not alone. And you were taught that, if you did a diet and you lost the weight, that diet was successful, but if you gained it back, you failed. When in reality, that diet was never designed. You were never going to be able to sustain your weight in that way. So if you can look back at your diet history, that's why tracking and going back and really taking a look at when this started and what was happening in your life, you're going to be able to see that story. You're going to know what your story is, and hopefully the truth behind that. That if you are still here 5, 10, 15, 20 years later trying to lose weight, you have not failed. You have not given up on yourself. You are still showing up for yourself. You are still trying. And essentially, there is still hope.
If we don't include conversations about stress and rest and overwhelm and hormones and perimenopause and grief and relationships and work satisfaction, like if we don't do any of the reflective piece, then it's just a surface system that will then no transformation is possible. Some people might, in this moment, right in the middle, if they connect with the language of messy middle, if they're feeling like they're floundering, if there's a bit of languishing, like it's not the excitement of the earliest days, and it's not the like whoop whoop, fist pumping of the end, it could actually be that people are like, I'm not experiencing change in this moment. Why is change hard? It's because it's inconsistent. It's because sometimes it's slow, sometimes it's nuanced, sometimes the change isn't the kind of change you were anticipating. Maybe you thought, change is when my body's different. And actually, change might be when your mind has shifted a little bit. It might be that change is happening and you don't notice because all of a sudden there's more freedom to think about other things.
Yes.
Change might be like a kind of almost like incremental restedness at night. Like maybe you're sleeping more. Change could be wild, big, bold, transformative, or it could be the smallest, subtlest thing.
The feeling that you get when you do start and you work through that middle and you're here at the end, I mean, like, there's no better feeling. But this is also reflective of your weight loss journey. There is a start and there will be an end. There has to be an end to your weight loss journey. And then there's this whole middle space. So, whether this is your first program and you are in the middle of your first program, or this is your 16th program and you are in the middle of your weight loss journey, I think it's same. It's same. Would you agree?
Yes. Oh my gosh. And I always make so many notes when you're talking because you ask all these very good layered questions. So, can you imagine how many of us might have identified as either a particular body shape, identified as a person on a diet,
Yeah.
a person who needs to lose weight, identified.
Mm.
That's part of my identity,
Yeah, pardon, yes. Always on a diet.
right? And
Mhm.
now what? So when you talk about there being an end and all the feels that might
Mm.
come up with that is like, whoa, a part of our identity is shifting. Who are you when you're not on a diet? Who are you when you finish this project?
Yes.
So like that
Yes. I
can
mean,
be real scary. That can be real destabilizing for a moment.
see, that gets me excited because I love, like, reinventing. I love learning, I love growing, I love working through my shit. It's all about learning what you need to learn, working through what you need to work through to actually make real change in your life. I think it's really exciting. I was just saying last night, it's about you are creating the life of your dreams. Like, if you woke up today and you are alive, you are living your best life. So, it's not like your best life is out there. It's right here, right now. I get excited about that shit, but I can also see how that might make some people really nervous. And when it comes to dieting, people do this. When I lose my weight, also, I'm going to start dating. I'm going to travel the world. I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to start a business. I'm going to all of those things where they put this pressure on themselves. And of course, then life is throwing you everything you need to learn to be able to accomplish that. But the flip side of that and what you're saying is, like, you're comfortable with who you are, whether, maybe you're making choices or living in a certain way that doesn't necessarily make you happy, but it is comfortable. It is what you know, and that change for a lot of people could be very unnerving.
So what would happen if you didn't lose the same 10 pounds over again? What's on the other side of that?
What's on the
What
other
kind of
side of that?
freedom and ease and play and pleasure is on the other side of the loop or the well-worn groove or the rut or whatever the language is? One, define it. Give it a term. Give it a time frame so it's not forever. Or you could give it new language. Does messy help you? Does it feel like a relief? Does it normalize something? You're in good community? Or we look at it small. The messy middle is just made up of individual days. No one ever does more than one day at a time. You're doing this day. You're doing this day. My experience of your beautiful program is that it's a byproduct. The weight comes off
Yes.
because of all the other things that happen along the journey.
Yes.
It's actually inevitable. Like that's the beauty of it's inevitable.
Yeah.
But there are some really important pieces not to be missed that make that happen, that lead to that.
The what to eat when, the hard part, really, you've put behind you. The bulk of the learning you've put behind you in so many ways. Like, you've done so much. And if you just stop there and keep doing that, yeah, eventually you will reach your goal. But at some point you will have to do the work. And you might as well do the work now in the time frame that you signed up to do the work in. So I don't know. I'm all about this. I love learning and growing and working through, and when I'm like, what's going on with me? Why do I feel this way? And having those moments, I think we are meant to grow and evolve. And if you are envisioning the life that you want to have, you already have it. You just have to keep moving forward and do the things you need to do to grab onto it.
The messy middle is a time to listen carefully. What's really being called, like what's calling you, what's calling your attention? What are the stickiest places? What still feels confusing? What are you angry at? Are you comparing yourself to other people? What's the storyline? And so all of that is just, if we can bring a compassionate stance to it, Ooh, what's that information about? What's that feedback for? What am I being invited to notice and then potentially take action towards? It's not around judgment. No one is judging you here. No one is judging. No one. But what's the invitation?
Reflect on where you're at. What do I need right now? Where am I at? What do I need? What am I struggling with? And perhaps why? What is it about what I'm struggling with? It's never about the food. Here's what I can say after helping I don't know how many people lose weight. It has never been about the food ever. The food part is so easy. Also, what makes it complicated, though, at the same time, but you're dealing with all these feels that are coming up for your own good, because these are the things that you need to work through to get to where you need to go, are the triggers, are the habits. There's a lot of noise. How can we quiet the noise? There's a lot of noise to actually like take that time to reflect. It's a lot easier said than done. We don't know when we need help. And when we do recognize we need help, we're so resistant in asking for help.
I think I've come to see the messy middle as a time of connecting the dots. That's what it
Yes.
feels like
Yeah.
to me.
Yes.
There's like a dot over here and a dot over there. And that's like, ooh, there's a trigger and there's a habit and there's a groove and there's a response and there's a reaction and there's a kind of, inner critic. Boop, boop, boop. How am I? Oh, wow. So it can be a time of real curiosity turned inward. But what's one adjustment after today's conversation you could make? One rock that you could look underneath, and how might you support that work? Is it through writing? Is it through contemplation? Is it through movement? Is it through talking with a buddy? I mean, there are like, I don't know, how many tens of thousands of pals ready to be friends with you and hop on a morning walk and talk here. So many different ways to do this work less lonely and more awake.
Less lonely and more awake, and do hard things, but make it easier. I love
Yeah.
that takeaway. It doesn't have to
Yeah.
all be hard. You can work through big feels, you can do hard things, but you can make it as easy as possible for yourself in order to do that. I love that.
You're learning something around consistency. You're learning something about showing up every day. You're learning something about, there's something really going right for you about the attitude that you're bringing. You're learning something about your body's responsiveness to what and how you're eating. If you, after week 4, were like, I don't know, or something happened in your life, or this, that, and the other, any number of reasons that disrupted, what are you here? What's that learning for? What's that learning for? If you've come back and you're judging yourself, what's in that? If it was hard to follow because you were disappointed, what's there? If you got angry right out of the get, what's the learning that's here for you?
Yeah.
If you've brought negative energy into the community board, what's here for you? Like, there's really good learning if we like open to see it.
What are you here to learn? And that's part of what the messy middle is trying to
Mhm.
show you. What are you here to learn? Dr. Deena Kara Shaffer, creator of the A Plus program, and author of the book Feel Good Learning. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for everyone who joined us live. I've been looking at all your comments and questions. Thank you so much, everyone. And of course, if you have downloaded and listened to our podcast, more to come. Until then, thank you so much.
You're the best.